Sorry I'm late. I ran into my son was ill, so I'm here now. Please note the attendance. We have everyone present. I'd like everyone to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, loud. Okay, we have the city attorney on the telephone. So, city attorney, are you there?
I am. Yes. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you. And this is city attorney Mark Austin. At this time, I'd like the approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Hurtado. Is there a second? Second by Real. All those in favor respond by saying. You have questions?
Yes. How come I didn't get a request for the meeting for the time? It's a special meeting by the Brown Act law. With special meeting, we have to ask them, all the members, possibilities. And they've never been asked.
What's the question?
Direct your question to city manager, please.
How come you didn't get called for, I don't get the call for the meeting?
You did. You got an agenda.
No. Special meeting has to be...
Mr. Kim, I'm not going to worry about
special
these
meeting has
minuscule things. We're just going to continue to going. There's a motion on the floor and there is a second. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Wow.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Mr. Castro? Are you in? Aye. Okay. Motion carries 4-1. Public comments and public appearances. Note not to exceed 3 minutes. This is a time for the public to address the council on any item on the special meeting agenda. The mayor will recognize you, and when you come to the microphone, please state your name and address and place of residence for the record. While the members of the public are encouraged to participate, it is unlawful to disturb or delay the council meeting with personal or slanderous remarks. Please direct your questions and comments to the city council. Before we get to the 2 public comments that I have before me, I'd like to invite our Chief of Police, Mike Bostic, to address the council.
Council members, and this is specifically addressed to Council Member Real. A couple meetings back, I made some public statements that I should not have made. And so I'm speaking to you as one Christian to another and asking for your forgiveness. It was wrong for me to say those things, and I said them out of emotion, so I apologize for doing that. And the city manager wisely has disciplined me for that, and I appreciate the fact the city manager was willing to do that because I would hold my officers accountable for those same rules. And so I apologize, and I will act professionally from here on out.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. We have Maribel Padilla and then Loli Torres. Can you timer on your phone? Okay. You may begin.
Okay. This is for Councilman Kim and Castro, since you guys are the ones that voted down the $85,000 in Stone Garden grant free money. And we're here again. Mr. Kim, you're always worried about the bottom line, the money, the warrants. We're paying too much. We're paying too much for the lawyers. We're here in a special meeting because of both of you. So now we're paying the lawyer who's on the phone. We're paying another money over here to record again because you guys couldn't get your act together at the last meeting. And I'm going to say this. Both of you are a pair of hypocrites. Because you see the paper I gave you? This is a letter from Chief Tavares asking for 3 cars. On August 20th, 2013, at the council meeting, the request for bids, you guys approved it, 4-0, with Hurtado abstaining. You approved it. Mr. Castro, quote, because I saw the meeting last night, they need these cars. They need it. So Tavares needed it. You guys approved it. You approved the bid. So on July 15th, council meeting consent agenda item number 9 was to accept and award the purchase of the vehicles. Guess what? It was approved 5-0. Not one single statement, you wanted to bid it again, you didn't want any kind of statements from anybody regarding these cars. What is the difference between Tavares asking for these cars and Bostic asking for these cars, coming out of the same grant of Stone Garden, almost the same exact amount? What is the difference? Let me tell you. You don't like Bostic, so therefore you're denying him. You liked Tavares, so you approved it. You guys are a bunch of hypocrites. Hypocrites. You go and approve that, but you don't approve it now. And you make us waste time and money for this. You better approve it today, because you approved it then. Quit your being hypocrites. The city needs these cars. It's for the safety of your viejitos. You guys are so worried about them. Their cobijas cannot protect them. You need the police to protect them. So you all better prove this, and let's get it done quick.
Thank you, Ms. Padilla. Ms. Torres, you may come up to the podium.
My name is Loli Torres, 46 Las Flores Drive, Calexico, California. And I just wanted to give a little bit of history. Back in the 80s, my husband, Nene Torres, lost the election, him and Joe Rodriguez. Why? Because they approved a grant of $80,000 for the city bathrooms. People didn't know. They were just spending money. That was foolish money that the city was spending money according to the voters. If you want to be reelected, Mr. Castro and Mr. Kim, I think you heard the people's opinion. It's free money for the police cars. Mr. Castro, mis respetos para su familia. Your dad was a very strong supporter of my husband, and I hope you really vote for the conscience of the city and the senior citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Torres. Is this for this item?
Yes.
Oh, you, okay, Mr. Yanez. You may begin, sir.
My name is Manuel Yanez, living in Calexico. It's not too late, Mr. Bostic. I appreciate your comment as a citizen of Calexico. Once again, we are here to approve an item that should be approved in the last agenda. I know that the reasons, Mr. Castro, and I'm not in favor of Mr. Castro, Mr. Kim, but I want to make a clarification regarding with the reason that I believe they did not approve the item. According to the way that the bids has to be circulated, it doesn't come funny to you that only one came to bid on this item. Why? We have so many dealerships here in Rio Valley. San Diego is really close. I don't know. It should be a way that city staff can get publishing these bids and get more bids. It should be a way. It's not funny that only one came and bid on this item. It smells something bad to me. It's someone, I don't know, I don't want to tell names. When someone was slow and didn't want to get in a hurry, and something happened, and only one guy came to bid it. I take as a suggestion to the city manager and his staff, next time that you circulate a bid, you should do it appropriately. That way we have more bids. Even if it's a free money, it doesn't matter. The money still belongs to the communities of the United States. It belongs to us. Even that, we have to find a way to be more clear, transparency. That's what we have to know. Have. That's the way that I see it. And if you think just a little bit on this, I think many people see it the same way that I see it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yanez. Seeing that there are no more requests for public comments, I'd like to bring it back to council.
Motion to approve it.
Moved by Mr. Kim to
Motion to
approve.
approve it with the condition
Okay, what is the condition, Mr. Kim?
for future, the bidding has to bring the council approval before the 60 days time frame ends.
I think that could be discussed at a later time. Go ahead, Mr. City
Yeah,
Manager.
we have a purchasing policy. This particular police car package was bid twice. We followed all appropriate procedures, but I think that the appropriate bid is, or the appropriate motion is to approve the police cars.
That's
And-
why I'm making motion.
Okay.
I second,
What-
Yes.
Okay,
I
Okay,
second,
did-
open discussion, I guess.
okay, now, let me just get the facts straight. The motion was to approve with a condition.
Condition to, for future bidding process, bring the council approval before the 6 days time
No.
frame ends.
Mr. Kim, what we can do is, we can change the ordinance if in future setting.
But it's supposed to be bring before the time, but they're not bringing time. They always bring the last end of it.
Well, let's examine the ordinance before we make any conditions on this. Can we do that, City Manager?
Yes.
Okay, so would you like to restate your motion?
Okay, if it agrees to you guys to bring that in the control by the council, I'm okay with it. But we still need to open the condition. To open the discussion to what is going on in the bidding.
Right.
I'm still opening. I'm still approving, but we need a clarification for the community.
No, I know, but we can examine that at a later date.
No, I'm
All
talking
we're
about
doing
this
right,
process.
all we're doing right now is approving awarding the bid.
Yes.
Is that what your motion is?
Yes, my motion approve it, but approve it is condition, I think is we need
No.
to change it.
No conditions.
Yeah,
There can't be any conditions. You can't place a condition that goes against city policy and city ordinance.
But we can examine that at a later
You
date.
can examine it at a later date.
We can
We can change
examine
the
the
ordinance.
I mean,
I have a question for the city attorney. As far as him telling me I had a conflict of interest and now I don't. Could the city attorney maybe elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't necessarily phrase it as saying that first I told you you had a conflict and then you didn't. The impression that I had was that in the first go-around, you felt that you had a conflict. And let me just be clear, it is the independent duty of each council member to obtain advice on their own as to whether or not they have a conflict. I represent the city as a whole, not the individual council members, and the law is pretty clear that each individual council member must determine on their own whether or not they have a conflict. My determination initially was in response to an inquiry by you that you felt that you had a conflict, and I felt that it was close enough to the line that I couldn't say for certain that you did not have a conflict in that circumstance, and there were a lot of facts that I did not have, including sort of what your business was involved in particular, etc. Since the last council meeting, I feel that I've gotten additional facts, and I've also done some additional research, and I think that there is a very strong argument, much greater than 50%, more like 70, 80%, that you do not have a conflict of interest based on the fact that this is a one-time purchase. It is not going to have likely any, certainly not a significant impact on your on the business in which you are involved going forward. So, based on the limited information I had at the last meeting, it's always safest to go with the conservative determination that, yes, there could very well be a conflict here and it is best to recuse. But since then, I've gotten more information and had more of an opportunity to do research, and I think that it's very likely you would have a very strong argument that you do not have a conflict based on this single purchase.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, and I recall, Mr. Austin, that an email I sent you requesting my particular relationship and possible conflict of interest, and you responded by saying that there was no conflict. Is that correct?
Yes, there's no conflict in your situation, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Any further discussion from members?
Yes, I have several questions. Who wrote this grant? 2013?
The Stone Garden?
Stone Garden.
Chief Tabares?
Okay, thank you. And one of the things that I couldn't see any invitation for the list. So I don't see we sent to all the dealers in the valley. I don't see our bidding process being fully advertised. And you might put the advertisement on the newspaper, might be website, but we should send all the dealers to invitation of the bid. I don't see the list. Do we have any list of that?
I'm not sure of your question, Mr. Kim. I'd be glad to answer, but I'm not sure what the question is.
I believe that he's requesting if we sent the bid out to all the dealers in the county.
Yeah, do you have a list?
We can do that in the future. We did not do that this time because the normal process is to put it in the newspaper and on the website, and we did that twice in two
Right.
different processes.
Yeah.
But as long as the council's okay with that, and as long as we give it to every dealer, because the mischief there is some dealer will say they didn't get their letter, so therefore it's unfair.
Well, I'd rather just go to the newspaper, and that's the normal way of doing things. If they want to submit a bid, then read it in the newspaper, and I'm sure they have staff that looks at these things.
Every good fleet manager's paying attention every day.
Exactly.
Yeah, anyways, that one that one I don't see it. We didn't send the letter to anybody, and then a lot of the dealers they didn't know about the bidding.
Well, it's up to them to read the newspaper.
Well, it's if I want to buy the nice price, cheaper price, I'm gonna go check all the dealers to try to get the better price.
Right.
That's normal practice. Same things we should send invitation for the bid to all the dealers to get the better deal.
Well, I think at the next time, we're going to examine the policy and need to make changes if necessary. Any other questions you have for the staff?
That is why it took the 3 months.
Why did it take 2 to 3 months?
We put a bid in first in February and nobody responded, so we waited the appropriate amount of time, then we sent out another bid in April. And once we got the bid in and the period passed, we came before the council with the proposal. What caused the delay is our money was suspended after we had unauthorized use of Stone Garden funds.
See, now
So
clear.
it wasn't until February that we could actually go out to bid on the cars. They could have been bid back in September when Chief Tabares was here. He didn't do it, so it got delayed when I was here when the funds got suspended. So they could have been bid as far back as September of last year.
Okay.
Well, it could have been bidded out in July.
Actually, July, yeah. The first time you voted on it, but nothing happened with it. It sat, and then during the suspension of the Stone Garden money, they came back to me and said, what about your cars? And that's when I found out we had 3 cars that we could bid for. That was in January.
Again, exactly Mr. Bostic right now is mentioning the first bet, and nobody responded. So that means our bidding process is kind of a lack of the transparency, and we lack of the advertisement to let the people know we want to buy the.
I'm not sure that's fair to say, Mr. Kim, because we bid out for a lot of things like streets improvements and those things of that nature, and we get bids from local construction companies. But is that your last question?
Well, there's a construction company, they work different
Okay.
than all the dealers.
Right.
All the dealers, they try to sell common.
I want to remind you,
customers.
Mr. Kim, that we have invited the chambers, or the county supervisors for a meeting here at 4:45. And unless this is going to change your position on the vote, then I think you should allow us to call for the question. Unless Mr. Castro has a question.
Yes, I have a question.
Please ask your question,
You
sir.
done, Mr. Kim?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I have a question on the same, for the same grant. There is a grant for overtime. We're talking about $75,000 overtime for 1,500 hours. And the second grant is another 1,500 hours. So 75 and 75, so $150,000 plus $25,000. So the total is $175,000 to spend on overtime. My question is, that overtime, the police department already spent it, or is in
I
process?
call for the
That's
question,
my-
Mr.
That's my
Mayor. The
question.
overtime is not a part of this agenda.
There's a call for the question, because this item that you're asking does not have to do with the item.
Is
This is about the,
this
this is about 3 marked police cars.
Right.
No, but the same grant, let me ask you this. The grant, the total grant is $300,000, right?
Yes.
Bosick?
Yes.
So is goes in the same package?
Go ahead and answer that question, Mr.
Yes, we did expend that money in overtime, and it's directed by the Border Patrol, and we did spend that money this year. I don't know if we spent it all, because we had about a 3-month suspension, but we sure tried to spend every dime of it.
Oh, okay, that's what I want to
Yeah.
understand, because if not, we are going to lose it. That's
Yeah, right,
my
exactly.
point.
We tried to spend all of it by the end of the
Okay.
year, but we're not sure yet.
You already
haven't
answered
finished
that.
the
Thank
count.
you, sir.
And
Okay.
by the way, I would direct the council to the overtime report that was in your last agenda binder that showed that we are within the overtime budget, and we have spent 840, excuse me, the year prior to Chief Bostic coming and us making the changes in the city way we do overtime, we have saved this year $814,000 in overtime.
Yeah, I'm asking this, city manager, is because we don't have no backup on this agenda. That's the reason.
Okay. All
Okay,
right,
before the voting, I'd like to put this one to President, the minute for the record.
Mr. Mayor?
The way collection, a lot of people talking about the grant money. Calexico failed to,
Okay, there's a call for
Report
the
that
question, excuse me, there's a call for the question to stop the discussion. Is there a second for the call for the question? I will second for the call for the question. All those in favor, respond by saying aye.
no.
Aye. No. You don't want to stop the discussion? You need to ask some questions too? Mr.
No,
Castro?
no.
Okay, so the motion dies, and it's not carried. Okay,
Okay,
Kim,
the-
you may begin.
Yeah.
Or you may conclude.
Okay, the Calexico doesn't have, doesn't report single audit the due by March 31st. Now we don't have, we cannot have any, any grants anymore until we fix this one.
Okay, thank you. We got that well noted.
I'd like
Miss-
to put in the minutes, this records.
Okay, Mr. Real.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment. Is this thing on?
Yeah, it's on.
I do believe that our bid process is somewhat flawed. I don't know if dealerships are looking at the Imperial Valley Press on a daily basis to see when there is opportunities to sell vehicles to municipalities. But I do believe that we do have a fiducial responsibility to give the citizens the best deal that we can get. And I do believe that we need more than one bid. With that said, at the same time, I'm not in favor of losing $90,000 and having that grant just disappear on us. We do need more police units. We need more boots on the ground. So we do need more police officers than 3 officers or 4 officers that are patrolling our streets. So I am in favor of approving the motion, but we do need to work on the bidding process. Thank you.
Okay, your point is well taken, Mr. Real. Thank you very much. Now to vote on this item, all those in favor of awarding this bid,
Say aye.
please respond by saying aye.
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 Hi.
Motion carries 5-0, and the meeting is adjourned.